Hey, you guys. Whoa, it's spooky. It's the Halloween one where stuff is spooky. Spoopy. Whatever. So we're going to read a spooky, scary story. Um, I looked up the worst creepypastas you can find. Because I wanted to get the worst. Because that's what this entire channel is about. Aside from being weird, it's also just the worst. Just, the worst. Worst professionalism, worth of everything. That tasted like hot dogs, and I can't remember the last time I ate hot dogs. Anyway, so we found a story, or I found a story. And I'm guessing it must be something bad. Because, one, of course, it's a creepypasta about Mario 3, the scariest of all games. Two, the borders of this are just repeating pictures of the same really creepy, realistic picture of Patrick Starfish. Because that's what you do when you're trying to be creepy, I guess. And yeah, it's about an evil whistle. So this is a creepypasta. It's supposed to be a scary story, called the Blood Whistle. And yeah, I'm already just okay. Alright, so we're going to start reading this. I think I also found... No, never mind. I was going to say, I think I found something else, but it's like... I literally clicked on it because it was like the name interested me, and then as soon as it opened, it was just like, this is shit, delete it. And it's like, oh, okay. So here we go. Blood Whistle. I need to get my best spooky guy voice. I'm a spooky guy. Fuck that. I'm sitting here in a Batman hoodie. There's nothing spooky about this. All right. This is the foreword. This is the recorded blog of a college student, who was playing a modified version of Mario 3 on his computer, like you do. Shortly after submitting the last entry, he committed he suicided and had the blood eyes. This speaks volumes already about how bad this is going to be. I'm ad-libbing a little bit here. June 15th, 2012. A friend of mine recently sent me what he claims to be a scary Super Mario Bros. 3 hack. There's no such thing. That he wanted me to try out because he didn't have the courage. Yeah, that's why he sent it to you. Not because he thinks you're a dumbass. I started this blog to record my progress through the game. He got this from a site that's no longer active, and I've seen some pretty scary occurrences with emulator games before. Just look at Ben. All of that aside, however, there was something definitely off about this ROM. Its title was SMB3BW. Okay. Anyhow, I won't play any today as I'm quite busy with college work and such, but I'll start tomorrow. I'm too busy with college work. I specifically made this entry just to say how I'm not going to make an entry. Starting off good. June 6th. I played some of the game today. Obviously, my friend was misinformed. I played all the way through 1 to 3 and found nothing irregular. All the sprites, level sounds didn't have a fluke to their name. Wait, a secret. That must be how to unlock it. I swear you guys will find the Wart Whistle tomorrow. There's creepy secrets and this game has to hide. Look for tomorrow's post. It won't disappoint. Maybe this will explain what the BW in the title stands for. And this is already like... This already screams like bad fanfic. I keep waiting for Thomas the Tank Engine to fuck somebody. June 7th. I wish I hadn't unlocked that secret. This game will be the bane of my existence. Oh shit, it went Polybius on his ass. I'll try as best I can to explain what happened and what will certainly entail. What happened and what will certainly entail. There's no reason for... This guy is like beating the shit out of a thesaurus to make this sound smart. He's a college student. I don't know if any of you will believe me, but this sick mockery of one of my childhood favorites must be exploited and never seen by the eyes of by any other breathing man on God's green earth. What the actual fuck are you talking about? And Todd, that's what I'll call my friend for the sake of privacy and possibly security. Or you could have just said Todd and not actually explain that. Do not send that link anywhere else. You'll see why below. Okay, I'm going to stop right there since we're doing this thing where it's like, it's supposed to be real. If you're in contact with your friend and he sent you this thing, why are you only leaving him messages in like a vague post blog thing? Why wouldn't you just directly message him and be like, hey man, that file's fucked up. Don't be sending that to people. God damn it. Anyway. Enter the castle stage, knowing its only secret was the warp whistle. I disposed of any dry bones. Oh! Royston disposed of the dry bones before donning a raccoon tail. This writing. With a running start, I was flying above the stage to hit the secret area. My whole life before I hit up arrow on my keypad was completely different. I was happy, I was normal, I could wake up in the morning recognizing my own reflection, being absolute about my safety. Now it's lies. All lies. Everything broke. Knows what happened today. My life will become an infernal hell, which every other day will be a futile struggle to retain my own sanity after finishing this wretched collage of an electronic dejection. Seriously, I will embrace death like a long-lost lover with open arms, now to get on with what had come to pass. Does anybody actually know college students who talk like this? This is like some Elizabethan shit. Blood whistle. There's a picture. And I'm going to put that picture. I'm probably just going to stretch these images. I think there's a couple of pictures. Let me scan real quick. Nope, it's just the one, but I'll make sure to put it up so you can see it. It's, this is the moment that ended this man's life. He just couldn't deal after that, man. I'll worry about getting this picture later. I was trying to save it. Fuck it. Anyway, the blocks that lined the wall were a gloomy, albeit polished, obsidian black. Could just say black. Mario's skin now had a grayish tint to it, but that wasn't what was wrong with the picture. The music was a sped-up version of the normal bonus room theme. Toad's skull was cracked open and profusely bleeding. There's something really funny about that. Spilling blood onto the floor, making the room slippery like an ice stage. Okay. His mouth was also agape and spewing blood onto the floor. Of course it was. The blood had an eerie reflective quality that should have been graphically impossible for an 8-bit game like Mario 3. I walked up to him to see what it was he might say. What he had to offer was this. Blood whistle, hear its cry. Cool. That's the picture. Then I ran towards the chest to see its contents. Chest was drenched in reflective, realistic blood of the same type. I'm looking at the image because I want to. None of this is reflective. None of this is like. He's all like, it's super reflective and totally not on an 8-bit thing. It's like, no, none of that is. Fucking shit, dude. Okay. The chest was drenched in whatever. Blah. Little mushroom head fellow was. His head's open. Pressing onward, I ran through to discover the dark secret. Its twisted surprise. I wasn't prepared for the following events. Oh, shit. Things just got real. Blood-soaked warp whistle ominously rose from what I now believe to be the deepest crevice of hell. Okay. It blipped twice, as the normal whistle would. That, my fellow reader, is the only normality of what I have played today. This shit's getting fucking serious. It played a deep tune that I can't get out of my head as I write this. The whistle descended, violently striking Mario in the chest. He unleashed a blood-curdling... blood-curdling scream, Mario screaming, being hit by a whistle. All I can think of is him just being like, "Oh!" It went into his back and out of his chest. It wasn't 8-bit at all. It wasn't even cartoon-esque. It was the sound of unfiltered anguish, of utter agony. So it was a Wilhelm scream. His expression reflected the same. To end my experience with this perverse version of something I once loved, Mario is transported to the warp zone of the blood whistle. Ooh. I call it this because it only had the cookie-cutter outline of the quaint island. The water consisted solely the same aforementioned blood. In my encounter with the whistle, corpses of Koopas and other enemies, blah, it's very fucking, angsty. They're scattered all near the shores. Oh, fuck. One more. There we go. White menacing eyes glared at me between the waves, surfacing to cast their evil glance at Mario. Or me, I can't be sure at this point. Well, they're either looking at the screen or at the figure, who is not the screen. Dude. Point of perspective isn't that hard to figure out. All the worlds were indicated by their respective numbers, and the dots were crimson. At that point, I noticed yet another abnormality, this time concerning the dot for World 8. Beside it, there were 2 8-bit patches of fire that twisted and contorted in place. Without me pressing any buttons, the whistle stabbed Mario in the ribs, cued him to move towards the World 2 dot, refusing to pay any further attention to the horrors that surely went on in the distorted desert. I saved the game and quit. I've played more than enough of my fill for any day. I guess that I figured the acronym for the ROM just meant from the ROM to mean blood whistle the hard way. Despite the horrors that plague this abomination, I will continue to subject myself to this suffering for the sake of all of you. Well, also for mine. For everybody. Help me keep track of the days, and maybe this desperate attempt to cling to my stable frame of mind won't prove to be total vain. Oh, jeez. There are 5,000 people that have followed this blog in the 2 days it's been up. Really? Really? After this pointedly interesting point, I'm hoping to have some more. For those of you following my posts, read tomorrow's and share with your friends. I need you to expose the stark luridness of this shell of something I once knew and loved. Alas, poor Yorick, I knew him well. I added that last part. This is some dramatic shit. So, let's move on. There we go. June 8th. Well, I did it. I managed to clinch the fickle fibers of my perception of reality long enough to play through World 2. Oh, Lord. I've come to the conclusion that whoever made this is completely and utterly deranged. I've come to the conclusion that whoever wrote this is completely and utterly deranged. There's been a rusted gear or a broken spring in the mechanics of their sadistic mind. Their only purpose to creating this mod was to mentally and physically flagellate the naive soul poor enough to take the bait of its mysterious origin. Jesus, dude. Well, I'm certainly naive enough to fall into that category. I digress to the experience. I find myself asking how I could have missed major things like this yesterday when I saved the game in this world. I can believe what I was seeing. Blood of the same texture before was splattered across the desert sands itself. As splattered across the sands itself was. Okay, whatever. Solitary eyes watched me from the pyramids. Pentagrams and other satanic symbols were also infrequent in the environment. So not there. They were not. Because if they were frequent before, and now they're infrequent, it means they're not there. Stop. So, could this hack be the work of the Illuminati? Oh, Lord, the Illuminati. Yeah, that's what it is. The Illuminati made a fucked up Mario game just to screw with a college student before he suicided. That's what the Illuminati does all day. Enough pondering. I need to finish this grim tale. This guy is very smart. Skeletons of Koopas littered the bleak landscape, and there was a distinct disturbance with Mario's appearance. He looked starved and parched, as one would typically look after a few days in the desert. Mario moved to the 2-1 block without any command, and the music began to play shortly after. It's a reversed version of the overworld theme, because backwards music is always evil. Whispers and other paranormal phenomenon could be heard playing in harmony with the music, saying cryptic things. After about a minute, I began to record this sound, and I'll upload it as soon as possible, but I know I definitely can't do it today. Of course. One of the most distinct things I kept hearing was... not that, but let the whistle guide you. And Instrument of Blood plays the sweetest tune. This creeped me out. Oh, did it? Did it not cause feelings of utter despair? But this, of all things, wouldn't prevent me from playing out the remainder of the game. There we go, right back into the pros. The stage itself was very scary. That's how you know it was scary. Somebody just says it. The sky was grayish blue, accompanied by an almost white sun. The colors weren't bright or cheery in the slightest. The pyramid blocks were faded and cracked, and the wooden blocks were obviously rotting. Mario's sprite was visibly starving and pleading for thirst. He wants to be thirsty. The fire creatures fixedly stared at me like a shark stares at a school of fish. Sure, seeming to know who their next meal was. The natural expression of the Koopas had changed into ones of converged disgust and loath. You mean loathing. I don't think loath is a word. We're going to find out, because this I am very smart bullshit is a thing that gets on my nerves. What is loath? Oh, loath is a word. Well, fuck me. Learned a thing. Still, it doesn't need to be there. Point still valid. I had obtained the raccoon by now, so I ran along the pipe looking for a platform and took off. I flew for a little while, which was nice. Mario's face changed as well, being the normal happy smile you usually see through the entire game. Mario has a smile. I relished the few moments of happiness I sought from this game. These moments were mercilessly ended with a course of a few seconds. Sky flashed a gloomy black before the blood whistle came and impaled the poor plumber yet again. Oomph! Mario fell, his corpulent figure going limp until he hit the ground with a thump that I swore I could feel. You know, the funniest thing about all this is he's describing Mario Bros. 3, which is all 8-bit. So the only thing I can think about all this crazy shit happening is if you've ever seen the video of, like, what is it, where somebody redid that fight scene from, I think it was the second Matrix movie, using, like, Mario and Luigi. And that's all I can fucking think of. Oomph! Spooky scary, you guys. He was miraculously alive. He has many lives. His body twitching in a feeble attempt to rise. The fire creature jumped on Mario, who is now pinned to the ground and screaming in pain. His scream was bitterly realistic. It reeked of such ineffable pain. It hurts me now to describe the sheer degree of torture this character was put through. There he was, burning and seething in pain, and I sat there completely powerless, forced to watch what I thought was the end of his trials on World 2. I was so wrong. My God. The level select came to view, whistle threw back, Mario is transported to one of the pyramid levels, and the level started. The background was egregious smoke-filled black. Bursts of lightning filled the sky with an illumination. Winged demons in flight were visible upon the strikes. Also in the sky glowed strangely lit pentagrams and 666. The devil! Mario is being carried by two of Bowser's sons up one of the game's pyramid structures. However, the particular structure was different from the regular ones. Bricks, of course, they were cracked and faded with age because this is like Mario Silent Hill. The edges were jagged with dried blood, caked in each block. Nothing but a heavy drum beat and the sound of thunder played in the background. There's your thunder. The thunder didn't play in unison with lightning happens as in most games. There was an eerily realistic pause between the flare of lightning and the boom of thunder. There we go. Top of the structure, I saw the worst thing yet. Bowser towered above everybody else, intimidating and terrible, below 4 of his sons, 2 of which had carried Mario, Morton and Iggy and Ray and Von Koopa, above the entire scene with the words blood whistle and red neon letters. Bowser's face had to be 10 times more evil than I'd ever seen it. My God. His shell was cracked and the white spines. Blood. There's a lot of blood, right? It's been dipped in blood. Yeah, there we go. As fresh as on his teeth and his serpentine tongue, and making it clear his intentions, what he could do with Mario now that he disposed of him. Then I came to a dooming realization. Mario can't die. The game won't let him. No matter how many things are thrown at him in however many ways it's brutally maimed, mortality will not escape him. My God. For a time, that is, he will continue to be sustained by whatever dark force or sick mind that drives the rest of these occurrences to passing until the game's eventual end, which he will ruefully and painfully perish. Now that that's been said, to continue today's experience. Oh shit, this is some serious shit, you guys. Suddenly, Von Koopa produced a dagger. He always struck me as the sneaky one. It gleamed with an uncanny realism in the light of the blood whistle sign that loomed above. I had to open another bottle. After a brief pause, he began to slice Mario's chest open. Mario again screaming that fearful cry, a cry that implied he would die only to endure the torture of 10 times the magnitude. Tears streaming down his face as Von Koopa removed his heart, still pumping, and handed it to Bowser, who ate it with a crunching chomp. Kalima! Kalima! I added that last part. His sons laughed as he did this, blood flowing from Mario's exposed abdomen. With a bark from their twisted father, they shamelessly began to regurgitate and tear apart what was open. They were throwing him up? No, anyway. As they were doing this, Mario turned his head towards me and uttered a single question. Why? I asked myself the same question. Why would they treat him as an animal, if not less, for their amusement? Why would someone initiate the genesis of such a horrible contraption? A contraption which life and death and have no meaning and are manipulates, a contraption which concepts such morals, remorse, and mercy are completely forgotten. It makes me shudder to think that there is someone sick enough out there to put a character through this kind of unbearable hell just to sit back and laugh. It makes me sick to my core. That reminds me of another thing. You're probably wondering why I complacently talk about Mario as if he's a human being, a human who suffers in pain and starving and thirst like the rest of us, a human who's capable of feeling happiness and remorse and goodwill and love like anyone else, just because I'm thoroughly convinced that he is. Don't stop following this blog because you think I'm insane. Well, you are, but that'll come later. I believe, without a shadow of a doubt, that inside this game a character with a complex range of emotions, someone who feels like you and me. But it's a game, right? A contrived mixture of code and data put together to present words and images. Correct? Can't just say right. Wrong! With everything inside of me that Mario has to be alive, I've seen him truly happy and truly sad, and at one point I may even see him truly angry. But he feels like any other living, breathing human being. I don't know how, I don't know why, but I know something so human could rise from something so truly inhuman. A character with a soul completely impossible to me before I played this hack, and now with a goal in this game to keep this poor creature safe. I suppose now the real truth. I'll see you tomorrow, June 9th. Oh shit! How long is this thing? I have to know. Okay, it's not that much longer. June 9th. Yeah, it's me again. I had a horrible range of nightmares last night that are a direct result of playing this game. Some really weird stuff also went down. Before I get into today's gameplay, I'll have to go through them with you guys. I have an interactive record of my dreaming habits related to this game. I myself am having a hard time as to how they're so close to home and what they mean for my seemingly inevitable downfall. Before I tell this, I have to let you in on a piece of relevant information. I need more beer, but that's not what he said. In fourth grade, I used to play the recorder. Every kid had to learn some musicals. God, I remember having to learn the recorder. I hated it. I like wind instruments because of their method of play, appearance, and sound. Such is the irony of the instrument that has caused me all of this grief. My dream, I was playing the instrument in a dark room. I think that's how a lot of porn starts. That was my fourth grade self, that gets really creepy. Just coolly playing Mary Had a Little Lamb. Out of nowhere, I began to cough and choked on blood that had materialized around my recorder. It's just leaking blood. It covered it and soon filled it and began to pour in great quantity out of all the recorder's holes and float in midair and hover. And a few seconds passed, and then it struck me in the chest and impaled me, going directly through my heart. Blood vessel! I woke up and the sheets plastered to my chest with sweat. I was completely fine, not a scratch on me, and I sat there in bed afraid of how I'm sure the game did this, or maybe it was just me losing my sanity. I began to hear noise coming from my laptop. It was closed, but a faint, muffled humming sound was clearly audible. Warily, I approached my computer, the machine looking almost alive. Then I opened it. There's a picture of the Mario Brothers raccoon sprite on a black backdrop. He was chained up by his legs and feet, and the chains reached the side of the screen, and the blood whistle sat at the centerpiece of all through Mario's chest. Oh! The tune of the blood whistle played over and over, a laptop that only exacerbated the sound within the walls of my psyche. I tried exiting out of whatever program this might have been, but the window wouldn't close. Eventually, I had to take the laptop battery out, which didn't sit too well with my OS. Luckily, I didn't lose any files. Now for the gameplay. I was on a weak imitation of World 3. The water was not... More blood. Never ends. Ravenous fish jumped out of the water, looks of primal hunger on their faces. There's something off about Mario's map representation. I noticed it right away. Along with his raccoon tail, the blood whistle was now a permanent fixture, just sticking out like the alien in the movie. More outwardly noticeable. His mustache had dots of red clung to it as well. Without my or Mario's control, needless to say, I was moved to the first underwater stage. A cheery red tint absorbed the entire screen. This was to be expected, as the water looked blood-ridden from the outside as well. I swam down the left side of the level to get a fire mushroom. A fire mushroom. As soon as Mario got it and his outfit changed, he got an evil simper on his face. He looked at me and said, "Revenge, yes?" I confirmed his suspicions, and then we set off to the danger that lurked. "Revenge, yes?" The fish cast malevolent gazes at Mario as he swam by, incinerating them. His normal, happy smile returned, and so did mine. The annihilation of the carnivorous critters didn't last long before both Mario and I faced a hellish dilemma. There's a large fish with rows of razor-sharp teeth. Below him were two power-up blocks, one black and one purple. I assumed that these were supposed to mean red and blue. Obviously, there was no progress at this point without finding out what these blocks had in store. Mario's expression changed to his gaunt appearance that he has had for the majority of the game. Knowing I had no other choice, I dauntingly hit the black in appearance on the left. The fish swam around in its position on top of us, began to tear off Mario's limbs. By this time, a group of fish had congregated around the entire screen. They're laughing fish. Their laughs were deep and short, registering as barks in the 8-bit sound processor, which somehow also produces perfectly vibrant speech. Mario's unable body wobbled as he bled out, spewing black across the red. When he finally died, the big fish began to laugh. In a couple seconds, Mario's limbs regrew with the blue block remaining. I hit it to get this all over with. Bubbles stopped coming from Mario's mouth. He cried out for help. Not only made the problem worse, He sucked in tons of water, and his hands around his neck, he began to grow gray, and so he either loses all his limbs or he drowns. Very, okay. Getting angry, he began to incinerate random fish that had gathered in the crowd. The fish only laughed louder. For everyone that was killed, 2 more appeared. After a while, he just gave up, and I watched as Mario uttered his last gurgle on World 3, the blood whistle stabbing and taking him away. I save and quit with haste. I'll see you all tomorrow. Oh my god. This, I don't even know what to say about this. We ain't done. There's still more. I just needed to stop for a second. Okay. June 10th. Campus police gave me a visit today. Apparently one of you had reported my comments related to suicide and claimed I was insane. As a result, I have eliminated all personal information from this blog. I located the person who reported me and banned him. I also have an IP tracker because I'm a super hacker. Don't any of you try that. Speaking of followers, 50,000. I never expected this page to accumulate that many active viewers. Wherever this popularity or notoriety came from, I'm grateful. Now for today's gameplay. After today, I'll be lucky to finish the game. Okay. Princess Toadstool's letter appeared in the previous screen from World 3 and faded out. She is squirming and shifting around. Bowser's hand covered her mouth and nose, but it was easy to see the fear in her eyes as they... Good lord! As they darted left and right in stark, true fear. Bowser continued to have that sadistic smile on his face as he struggled with her. After a minute and a half, Peach began to change. Her eyes grew ominous red as she... I think it's supposed to be red. As she pushed Bowser's arm away with inhuman strength, cackled like a loon, blue veins were so noticeable that they were clearly visible through her white satin gloves. Bowser then began to cower timidly. The text on the screen said only this: blood whistle, hear its cry, Peach. This fucking story. Oh my god. The scene was abruptly cut off and World 4 level select map was brought into view. Goombas and Koopas of all sizes appeared, furious and hungry as ever. In addition, this addition made sense. This was the giant tiny world. Shown enemies would be dimensioned as such. Fuck. The normally green grass was withered and dead, and the small patches of water were blood, of course. Mario was still in the fireball fatigues that he had donned in World 3. When compared to the other worlds, the map was, for this one, vastly less disturbing. I would go as far as to call this tolerable. Move towards 4-1 and whatever nightmarish scenario this had to offer. I'm going to go out on a limb and guess it has a lot to do with blood and generic horror themes that are honestly getting really, really fucking boring. The stage had its usual kinks of any level in this game. The sky was black, which made the white clouds vibrant in contrast. A reverse version of the ground level once played. The wood, as if it had been before, was decaying and wasting away beneath Mario's feet. Pipes were faded and cracked in various places. All the enemies, still possessed the same carnivorous looks of their inter-game counterparts, and there was, oddly enough, a startling abundance of them. Koopas and Goombas danced around in a ritualistic manner, because Satan. Mario was visibly petrified as he tried to avoid them, arrow keys keeping them inches away from his life. Amidst all of the din hovered the solitary power block. It was regular in appearance. Nothing was outwardly off about this, which greatly surprised me, not knowing what horrid item it contained. I bumped it in blind vein, and maybe it could help me. You can most likely infer from the annotation I made in the preceding paragraph that I was completely mistaken. Again, with that thesaurus beating. What appeared next is what I dreaded. The damn whistle. It was sitting there, blood washing over me as it rose from the yellow square, and it sat there almost beckoning my name. With the imposing enemies, I knew I had no other choice. I took the weapon from its place, fruitlessly hoping for the best and readily expecting the worst. On-screen foes ceased all activity. Their faces returned to a neutral blank state. 5 minutes they stood in place, not moving a muscle as I jumped around and tried to kill them, but to no avail. It was almost as if they were frozen within the confines of time itself. As if for specifically them, all interstellar physical continuity had come to a careening halt. Bravo. They began to move. After the first couple ended, I realized what was going on. It was a mass suicide. Most of them just jumped on the nearest hole, and others performed incredible feats of acrobatics and medical possibility. What? One Koopa was bashing his head in on a pipe. Another Goomba jumped 6 or 7 times his own height, turned around in air, and sent blood flying everywhere. The great... Oh, God. Soon all the enemies were dead. They remained spontaneously upchucked from the trench below. A grisly mixture of guts and gore littered the entire remainder of the level. Mario shuffled through the remains, horrified, with tears streaming on his face throughout. Random, deep, bassy tones played with nothing else to accompany. Realistic. I love when I include the word realistic in these things. Realistic, squishy sounds were emanated every time Mario took a step in the scattered carnage. He continued to cry for the duration of the level. The whistle faded into view and followed Mario a few inches above his head like a pedestal virus. After he cleared it, of course, the whistle went through his chest and Mario was headed for World 5. The game has a habit of putting me where it needs me to be, so I closed the window without saving. Witnessing all of the death really racked my nerves. Sure, it might have been a game, but with things this game has had to present to me, I'm starting to lose my perception of reality. I'm starting to wonder to myself what's real and what's inside the computer, these two things fusing into one. The lines, they're blurring. Pretty soon the days will start fading together, and then I'll have lost all sense of reality. I hope to see you tomorrow. I don't know how much longer I can put up with this. It's not a game, but I can tell you, I can't tell you what it is. Drama! How much longer is this shit? Good God. Okay. June 11th. Today is D-Day. Today being D-Day fits, because I'm fighting one hell of a war against... Fucking stop. A hell against the war against this game, and a losing one at that. At least there are no more mishaps with all of you so far, which puts me at rest. As of today's gameplay, I fear for my own life. I feel as something is coming after me, lurking, seeking me out to make an immediate... lurking, seeking me out as to make immediate my demise. Lord! Never before has anything like this ever happened. Never before has anything electronic made me truly afraid, truly scared. I most likely will get no sleep tonight. Nothing in particular occurred, just, well, you'll find out. It was in the middle of the cloud portion of World 5. Sky theme played, except it was drastically slow and demonic whispers. It's like slow and backways. The whispers were the same as the one I heard back in World 2. Mario was outfitted with the Tanuki suit, which naturally suited the environment. There was nothing there except two things, a red dot and a card game. The card game icon looked similar enough to the regular game clone, except the spades rolled across a red background instead of a blue one. For whatever reason, I was allowed to choose which path I take, and I chose the card game, hoping it would serve as some sort of reprieve from all this madness. That was not the right choice. Of course it wasn't. Toad didn't explain the rules of the game like normal. Instead, I was plunged into the rolling slots. Beside the slots, there was a risky scenario. Toad was on a guillotine. He looks at the camera with timid, teary eyes. He's also vigorously shaking his head. He shook his hands in a futile effort to free himself from this appalling apparatus, but nothing came of it. The entire picture engulfed me, so I didn't even notice the slots. I cautiously pressed them as best I could to line them up, given the stress of the situation, and I failed and had to pay the personal price. The blade fell with breathtaking speed. Toad was beheaded right then and there. His head did a couple of spins in the air before landing in a conveniently placed basket. Blood filled the basket and filled it up, and Toad's body was blood. Out of nowhere, the blood whistle came down, struck his torso, the scene faded, and back to the map. Let's move to the only destination left in World 5. Silent lightning streaked across a licorice sky. Gray clouds and Mario were the only other constantly visible things. As far as everything goes, silhouettes of winged demons, flew and danced in the background. I tried turning into the stone structure that Snooki suit is famous for, but it failed. No music played at all. None at all. The demons would be heard whispering in what sounded like a variety of languages. Spanish, German, and Latin were the most prevalent ones, because he's a college student. He speaks like 15 languages, so as all college students, right? Primal fear of the unknown gripped me as I blindly navigated the level. Judging by the look on Mario's face, it plagued him also. This stemmed from childhood, which made it all the worse. I not only felt like Mario was in danger, I felt like my livelihood and well-being were in danger at that moment one of the demons swooped down. I would say the most accurate way to describe this creature would be a miniature Cthulhu. Claws plucked Mario's eyes out, making them bleed profusely. He unleashed an ethereal yet bone-chilling cry. After the searing pain relented, Mario trudged on. His face is now void of any and all expression. It was because he knew, as well as I did, that he would be torn apart, slowly and brutally, but it would happen. After a few more seconds, the second demon came. Identical in appearance at first, it swooped down with grim black bat wings and did its portion of damage. After it was said and done, the thing had torn off Mario's arms. Mario stopped dead in his tracks and sobbed loudly, knowing the worst was yet to come. I felt so sorry for him, the words escaped me. He continued with a morose look, his normal walk slowed to a shuffle. A few seconds after that, the solitary specter came down. One big slash, Mario is now without legs. His lump of a body sat there. He wept in utter despair. He knew the end was near. He turned to me and choked out, "I'm sorry you had to witness this. Everything." Those were his last spoken words on World 5 before a gaggle of hell's minions descended and tore apart what remained of him. His entrails were liberally exposed as they regurgitated in their cruel feast. When the dust cleared, a mere shell of him remained. All you could see was his open stomach and his spine and muscles. As I predicted, the blood whistle came to transport him to whatever hellish situation it contemplated would be worse than the last. Consider it sheer luck if I make another one tomorrow. If I do, it'll be my last. I hope so, because I can't really deal with it. Oh, it's not. It's a lie. I'm scanning ahead. This shit is long. Ugh, I need another drink. I hadn't really read ahead before I started reading this. June 12th. I'm starting not to care anymore. I'm in the throes of such severe depression that it's all starting to fade away. Everything. School, friends, family. It's safe to say this game is single-handedly ruining my life. Such sadness has never become me before in my life. My grandfather died when I was young, but that didn't quite equate to what I'm feeling now. It's a direct result of the level I played today, which I'll get right into. Anytime this gets really serious, I just have to make a Mario noise because, seriously, remember what the subject matter is. World 6 appeared. Ice was everywhere. This was the one part that correlated to the unaltered version. Nothing else did. The ice was none other than, let me guess, blood? Frozen, realistic blood. Of course it was. Crystallized pieces of crimson droplets bordered by the ice blocks. And blood filled the small pockets of water that were there, of course. There was only a solitary dot on the map. Mario entered it, and I knew it was a pass. It would be the tenfold of what already happened. Blood, blood, bloody blood, with much blood on top. Pure sable white as the only thing constituted the map. Blocks of blood ice served as slippery ground. Mario slid along as I controlled him. He appeared happy. Overjoyed might be more accurate. He had nothing to deal with, just him in an open space. 5 minutes passed, then 10. All the way through, Mario was happy. As I let him run around and fly as he had regained the raccoon tail, it seemed like he had all the time in the world. The clock ticked and ticked, and all seemed right in the game. Making it through the level, I found out it had no end. Time, oddly enough, would turn out to be the ultimate enemy. At the 20-minute mark, Tempest began to pick up. A flurry of snow ensnared Mario, and now he began to curl his tail, his teeth chattered, and his body shook, and he sat down, and Mario soon figured out how the game planned to snuff him out this time. With ice and time, he sat there and tried to heat himself. Needless to say, this was a less than feeble attempt. Nothing but the creepy bass beats from World 5 played. Mario's skin turned blue. Nonetheless, he sat and brooded in the ice. It was then that the utmost feeling of sadness encapsulated me. I couldn't fathom I couldn't fathom my sympathy. I couldn't begin to describe how bad I felt. The fact that his death was absolutely inevitable, and there was nothing I could do to stop it. Just watch in shock and dejected awe. Frostbite took his hands, and then 10 minutes after that, World 6 Mario was no more. Just a frozen block of a man sitting there in the middle of an infinite winter wilderness. After sadness came over me and feelings of sheer loneliness, I felt abandoned and alone, just like Mario sitting in the middle of that ice-filled field, as if no one would save me from the torture of this game. The blood whistle came down and made a chunk sound as it impaled his chest, taking him to the next level. I closed the emulator window as always and ended this self-subjected torture. I will bring myself to play this game tomorrow. Mark my words. I play the last tomorrow. And this blog hopefully will live on in my memory, so my tribulation can be seen by the world. Good Lord. June 13th. It is ironic indeed that today is June 13th, the unlucky number, the unlucky day. I suppose today isn't completely horrible. Today is the last day I have to play this wretched game. This horrifyingly absurd remake of what I used to see as a wonderful game will soon be out of my life, along with everything else. This being the last post, I suppose I'll finally be honest about my intentions ever since World 2. I'm going to take my own life. He suicided. The game has caused me sorrow on such an ineffable level that there is no other option. Life will never be the same. Mom and Dad, I love you, and Michael and Kelsey, you guys have been good. Listen to Mom and Dad. They'll have a lot of valuable lessons to teach you. Teach lessons that I learned but can never apply again. Now for what 75,000 followers read this past for the rest of the game. Hell itself is what the game brought to me. I suppose this was intended to convey World 8. Not hell, but worse than that. Bodies chained up on the background enduring a myriad of tortures. The only pain wasn't strictly felt from injuries, though. The coughs and dying wheezings and vomiting in the background reeked of pestilence and suffering. It's a game. It's a Nintendo game. You can't. Never mind. Fires emblazoned certain people as well. The flames had an actual burning quality to them, not like regular 8-bit fire. It was super real, you guys. Flesh and eyes and internal organs and tissue constituted the walls and ground. If the hell I'm certainly going to exist, I think it looks like this. Mario stood before a possessed Princess Toadstool. Her dress was ripped in several places and splattered with, of course, blood. Her eyes gleamed red, and of flames casting evilly maniacal allure to her appearance. Bowser and his 6 sons were tied to wooden poles with terrified looks on their faces. Wendy, for some reason, didn't appear anywhere in this game. In one hand, Peach brandished a sizable dagger, in the other, the blood whistle. She walked over to Bowser and looked him in the eyes. Technical limitation that slightly hindered the interpretation of what passed, but it was easy enough to understand what was going on. Through his gag, Bowser pleaded with her not to harm him. She brought the knife close to him, and he froze up, and he was obviously paralyzed with fear. She whispered something to him. The text rolled along at the bottom of the screen, conveying the text of what played out the sound limitations. This is what enabled Mario to speak in the past. Oh, he wasn't actually talking. Okay, it was just text boxes, so it wasn't like a revenge, eh? Shh, she whispered. Bowser's innards spilled onto the floor in a great heap. He let out a monstrous 8-bit roar of pain when this happened. Peach laughed, her eyes reflecting whatever evil had possessed her. The princess proceeded to eviscerate all 6 of his children. Mario did nothing but look on in horror as his mortal enemies were torn apart by a woman he had once cared for. His face soon contorted into one of loathing. He came all this way to find out the girl he wished to save had been taken over by an extraterrestrial evil. Aliens. An evil that would not only haunt Mario, but me as well. The sort of evil that doesn't go away when you turn off the game. The kind of dark force that follows you through bedchambers and steals your soul. Princess Toadstool paused for a couple seconds, then came at Mario with the knife. Hey there, Mario, she said. They got a little sharp with me, so I pushed them over the edge. Ha ha ha. What? I tried to move Mario, but nothing happened. He stood there, afraid of what she would do. She brutally slashed open his arms and legs and abdomen. Shortly after, the princess produced some salt and poured it all over him. Princess Peach, who used to know, is long gone. The power of the blood whistle consumed that girl and made way for me. And speaking of which, she continued to produce the blood whistle. Here it is, hear its cry. With a mocking kiss on the cheek, she began to play Mario the perverse song of the blood whistle. Its notes rotted away. In the last reserve of good in me, he was heaved by an invisible force into the flames. He cried out as they consumed him. Peach laughed as the whistle. Peach chucked the whistle, making it strike him directly in the heart as he continued to wallow in anguish and walked away. As she laughed, she looked into my eyes and left the parting message via text at the bottom of the screen. Do not let your life be as painful as mine was. I do not hold reservations against you as you tried your best to keep me alive. I commend you for that. Goodbye, Bradley, and good luck. The tune of the blood whistle continued to play as the screen panned out of Mario's hell. How he knew my name was Bradley continues to befuddle me. How could he have had such depth and personality? I don't know whether this is a result of the game being haunted, as it truly is, the fact that someone could have been captured inside of this ROM. Whatever the reason for this, everything that has come to the pass is its abomination, and I'm finally done. I've made all my goodbyes at the beginning of this post, and I hope one of you takes the time to save this, or at very least show the world the true hell I've put myself through. I sure hope the demented creator of this game isn't festering in the same hell I'm headed to. Goodbye, everyone. Yeah, it's supposed to be, he like, killed himself. Okay. So a little overview about this. Again, like I said, I found this because I just looked up worst creepypastas, and this is what came up. There's a bunch of videos at the bottom of the screen. I'm not going to, like, put any of these into anything, but it is, like, a really shitty creepypasta, and you can tell, like, a lot of these where it's supposed to be, like, it's really creepy, oh my god, look how realistic it is. And I was like, this is made using some kind of emulator program, because a lot of these sprites are obviously from, like, you know, Super Mario World. They just use an enhanced engine to pull off a lot of this shit, and a lot of it's just like MS Paint retextures. Also, the other thing about, like, oh my god, it knew my name. How could it know my name? It's like, right now, on the top of your head, right now, you're listening to this, how many fucking programs on your computer right now have your name in them? Do you know? Could you guess? Could you possibly guess? Do you know how easy it is to make a program that searches for anything that could possibly be your name on a computer and then activates that and uses that as, like, a key function? There are games that literally create text documents as a thing that goes with it. I mean, for fuck's sake, what do you call it? Fucking, what do you call it? Oh, shit, the game's something Amy is away or something like that. I don't know. It's like a game that's kind of like chatting, and it's all about talking, and you're supposedly talking to somebody, and I can't remember the fucking name of it. But yeah, the second one creates, like, documents on your desktop, and it even is like, oh, you should change your desktop background to this, so it matches the desktop stuff that it says is in the game. And yeah, no, writing that kind of shit's really easy. Like, people do that all the time, and plus it's a ROM, so the core hardware was written like fucking 30 years. Oh my god, it was written like 30 years ago. Whew. So yeah, this has been a really shitty creepypasta, and I thought it'd be kind of funny to read it, so I did. And that's what I did. Happy Halloween, you guys. Woo. Blood whistle.